Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are designing this website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now in the previous video, we designed this testimonials section over here, and in this video, we will add a next and previous button over here so that when the user clicks on the next button, they'll be taken to the next testimonial, and the same for the previous button. So we will add this functionality using JavaScript. So let's get started. Right here I'm in the source code, and this is the testimonial section. So here inside this testimonial section, let's create a division. So we'll create a division for the next and the previous buttons. So let's create a division with a class of navigation buttons. And in this we need to have two buttons, one for the previous button. So let's create a division for that. Let's give it a class of prev btn, and then we need to have the next button. So let's create a division and let's give it a class of next btn, and we need to add the icons of the next and the previous buttons over here. So let's create an img tag, and in the src let's type images / and I have this icon called chevron left.svg. And now for the next button, let's go ahead and create an img tag, and in the src let's type images / and chevron right.svg. Right now let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have the next and the previous buttons over here. Now we need to position this correctly over here on the right side. So let's style this using CSS. Let's go to our style.css file, and let's go ahead and type testimonials navigation buttons, and we need to set the position to absolute, and we'll set the right position to 20 pixels and the bottom position to 40 pixels, and let's see how it looks. So here we can see we have the next and the previous buttons. Now we need to bring them one next to the other, so let's add a display of flex, and we will add a gap of 2 pixels. Right now let's style the images inside these navigation buttons. So let's type testimonials navigation buttons img, and let's set the height of the images to 26 pixels. Right now let's go ahead and add some styling to the container division, which is previous button and next btn. So let's type testimonials prev btn, and also testimonials next btn, and let's set the background color to white. And if you go back to our design, this is how it looks. Now we need to bring this image to the center, so let's set the display to flex, and now it is in the center. And let's also set the cursor to pointer, so let's type cursor pointer, and now when we hover over this, we have this pointer. Now by default we will set the opacity to a lesser value, so let's type opacity and let's set it to 0.7, and now let's type testimonials prev btn hover, and testimonials next btn hover, and let's set the opacity to 1. And now if you go back, now we can see that we have the opacity set to 0.7, but if you hover over this, we have the opacity set to 1. Right now what we need to do is we need to display different testimonials over here. So let's go ahead and store all the data of the testimonials inside our JavaScript file. So let's go to the main.js file, and let's create an array of objects for that, just like we did for feature list. So here let's type const, and I'll just call it testimonials list. Right now in this object we need to have the review, the image, the name and the designation. So let's go ahead and add all these details over here. Let's type review, and let's copy the review from here. So I'll just copy this review from here, and let's paste it over here. And the next thing we need to do is add the image. So let's type image, and let's copy the source of the image, and let's paste it over here. And then we need to have the name. So the name is John Smith, so let's copy this, and let's paste it over here. And then we need to have the designation. So let's type designation, and let's copy the designation, and let's paste it over here. Right now, in this way, you need to add all the testimonials that you want over here. So I'll just go ahead and quickly copy all the testimonials. Right here, I have copied all the testimonials that I need. So we have 3 testimonials over here. We have the review, image, name, and designation for all of them. Now let's go ahead and go to the style.css file, and here for the testimonial card. So if you go to the HTML file, here we can see we have this division with the class of testimonial card. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the opacity of this division to 0 by default, and we will set the opacity back to 1 when we need to display the testimonials. So let's go over here to the style.css file, and let's type testimonials and testimonial card, and let's set the opacity to 0. And we're going to add a class called active when we want the testimonials to be displayed. So let's type testimonials testimonial card dot active, and here I'll just set the opacity back to 1. And we'll also add a smooth transition. So let's tap transition, and let's set it to all 300 milliseconds ease. Right now, if we go back to our website, here we can see that the testimonials are not being displayed. Now we're going to display the testimonials using JavaScript. So let's go to the JavaScript file, and let's write some code for that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable for keeping track of the current testimonial. So here I'll just type let current testimonial index equals, and by default we'll set it to 0. Now we're going to display the testimonials based on this index right here. So let's scroll down, and let's create a function for that. So I'll just create a function called display testimonial. Right now, just like we did for all the other functions, let's go ahead and create a constant for the HTML. So let's type const HTML equals, and let's add backticks. Let's go back to the HTML file, and let's copy the HTML. So here we can see we have the testimonial card. Let's copy everything inside this division. So let's copy from here till here, and let's go ahead and copy and paste it over here. Right now, let's go ahead and make the changes. So let's select this review, and let's delete it. And we need to add the testimonial review over here. So let's type $symbol curly braces, and here let's type testimonials list, and here we need to add the index of the testimonial. So if we scroll up here, we can see that we have already created this variable which is called current testimonial index. So let's type that over here, current testimonial index, and from that we need to get the review, because here we can see we have named it review. So let's type dot review, and we need to do the same for the image, name, and designation. So I'll just copy this from here, and let's paste it over here, and here let's change this to image, and let's copy it over here, and let's change this to name, and let's copy it over here, and I'll just change this to designation. Right now, what we need to do is we need to add this HTML inside the testimonial card division. So let's go ahead and select this division. Let's go over here to the JavaScript, and let's type const testimonial card equals document.querySelector and testimonials testimonial card. And let's scroll down, and let's add the HTML to the testimonial card. So here let's type testimonial card dot inner HTML equals HTML, and then we need to add a class of active. So let's type testimonial card dot class list dot add active. But now let's see whether this works. So let's call this function display testimonial, and let's go back to our website, and here we can see that the first testimonial is being displayed. Let's go ahead and change the index. So let's change the index to 1. Now the second testimonial should be displayed. So if you scroll up, Here we can see that for the second testimonial we have this testimonial right here. So let's see whether this is being displayed. Let's save it. And here we can see that we have the second testimonial displayed. So everything is working. If we change this to 2, we have the third testimonial displayed. Now we need to change these using the next and the previous buttons. So for that, let's go ahead and reference the next and the previous buttons. So here we have this division with the class of prev btn and next btn. So here let's type const prev btn equals document.querySelector testimonials prev btn and const next btn equals document.querySelector testimonials next btn. Right now let's add event listeners for these. So here let's type next btn dot add event listener and let's listen for the click event. Let's create an arrow function over here. Now here we need to increase the current testimonial index by 1. So let's type ++ over here to increment it by 1. And after that we need to call the display testimonial function. So let's type display testimonial. And let's go back to our design. And let's click on the next button and nothing is happening. So let's see what's the problem. Let's right click over here and let's go to inspect. And let's go to the console. And here we have this error that cannot read properties of null. So let's go back. Let's see what's the problem. So here we have this typo testimonials. Right now let's go back and let's click on the next button and we have the next testimonial displayed. Let's click on the next button once again and we have the last one displayed. Now if you click on the next button we will have an error. So if you go back to the console, here we can see we have this error. So when we click on the next button we have the error. That's because we don't have more testimonials. So for that we need to add an if condition. So here let's add an if condition and let's see whether the current testimonial index is greater than or equal to testimonials list dot length. And if it is greater than the length of the testimonials list array, then let's go ahead and set the current testimonial index back to 0. So let's type current testimonial index equals 0. Right now let's go back to our design and let's see whether it works. So let's click on the next button. We have the next testimonial. Let's click on the next button and this is the last testimonial. Let's click on the next button once again and we are back to the first testimonial. So everything is working alright. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to add a fade in transition. So if you go to the CSS file, here we can see that we have already added this transition. So here inside this event listener, let's go ahead and remove the active class first. So let's type testimonial card dot class list dot remove active. And what we need to do is we need to set a timer and we need to execute these lines of code after a specific period of time. So for that let's create a set timeout. So I'll just type set timeout and for the timeout I'll just set it to 200 milliseconds. And let's go ahead and copy all this code from here and let's paste it over here. Right now let's go back to our design and let's click on the next button and here we can see we have this transition. Right now let's go ahead and write the functionality for the previous button. So it is pretty much the same. So I'll just copy this code from here and let's paste it down here. And here I'll just change this to prev btn. Here we need to decrement. So I'll just type minus minus. And here we need to check whether the value is less than 0. So let's go ahead and type less than 0. And if the value is less than 0, then we need to set the current testimonial index to the last value. So we can get that by typing testimonials list dot length -1. And that's basically it. So let's go back to our design and let's click on the previous button. And we are going back to the previous testimonials. And if I click on the next button, we go to the next testimonials. So with that, we have completed creating this testimonials section. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. In the next video, we will design this pricing section over here. So that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.